Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome to the Extraordinary Talk Show at 4:30 on Monday with your host, Stella Hill. We have some super cool things to talk about today. First of all, your biggest rule. Last week we talked about rules. Rules being a BS rule. And today we're going to talk about one of the biggest rules that are out there, which is all about you. The biggest rule that's probably affecting you more than anything else in your life right now is the idea, the suggestion that you may have come to believe that you are not good enough. And I'm telling you right now, any idea that you are not good enough is a BS rule. That's absolutely a rule that you should not believe. And I'm going to give you some ideas of how you might have picked up that rule and what you can do about it to get rid of it now. To start with, I want to give you a quote. I like quotes. I like books. I love words, and many, many times other people put into words exactly what it is that I'm trying to say, and I always appreciate that. The best books are those which teach you that which you already know. That's actually a quote from the book 1984. But here's the quote I have for you, and I will take credit for this quote because this is one that I came up with myself, and I thought it was good enough. It was worth writing down and repeating to you today. Here it is. The problem is not that you are imperfect. The problem is that you are perfect, but you don't know what perfect is. I'm going to say it again. The problem is not that you are imperfect. The problem is that you are perfect, but you don't know what perfect is. What I mean by that is that everything about you is exactly the way it's supposed to be. You are here, you're a process, you're a work in process, you're constantly learning lessons, you're constantly making yourself better. And as long as you are doing that, as long as you are working to be just a little bit better tomorrow than you are today, that's good enough. But you might not believe that because you have accepted the rules that you're not enough. You have accepted the idea, the belief that something about you isn't good enough. And I want to go over a couple of those reasons why you might have believed that and how you can possibly change that. To start with, what I want to tell you, the message I hope that comes across from this episode, this show this week, is that you are enough. Exactly as you are. You are perfect exactly as you are. You are not intended. When you woke up this morning, today was not intended to be the day that you were absolutely perfect in every way. That day hopefully is coming for you, and you might be working really hard and you might get there soon. But the fact that you're here, you're alive, you're on this earth, it's evidence that you are a work in progress. And my friend, that is exactly what you were supposed to be. When you got out of bed this morning, you were supposed to be exactly the person that you are today. And tomorrow, hopefully you'll be just a little bit better. And if you can do that every single day, that is perfection. So when that little voice comes in your head that says you're not good enough, when you hear outside voices saying you're not good enough, know that those voices are lying. You are exactly the person you are intended to be. And tomorrow you're going to be just a little bit better. And the day after that, you're going to be just a little bit better. And you might even have a day where you slip up. That's okay, because you're going to fix it. And the day after that, you're going to be a little bit better. You are exactly enough, exactly as you are. You are the person you are meant to be. So now we're going to talk about why you might have some of those ideas, why you might have some of those voices in your head telling you that you're not enough. And let's go back to the first 7 years of your childhood while your prefrontal cortex was still developing. Your prefrontal cortex is like an empty computer hard drive. And it's just downloading, downloading, downloading. It's not really thinking about, it's not rationalizing, it's not working out the details. All it is downloading, downloading, downloading. And if you had people in your life, it might have been your parents, I hope it wasn't, but it may have been. Might have been family members, might have been a babysitter, might have been a neighbor, somebody in your life who put you down, somebody in your life who told you you're not good enough, somebody who may have said awful things. I don't even want to repeat some of the things that can be said to us, to adults, to children, to whoever. You may have been teased at school. You may have been bullied. And if you were, I'm really sorry. But that doesn't mean that that's who you are. You are better than that. You are stronger than that. But those ideas got loaded into your brain, into your prefrontal cortex when you were a very smart child. And it's very, very difficult to change that wiring as, well, actually, it's not that difficult, but it can be, and it can seem difficult. And this idea, this belief that you're not enough can be one of the more difficult beliefs to change. Neurons that fire together, wire together, which means that when you were a little kid and somebody told you that you were stupid or that you were dumb or something, that got written into those neural pathways, and that's what you believe now. But you can change it. You should change it because you deserve to change it. Basically, that's like a big old sign outside of you. If you walked around with a sign saying not good enough on your forehead, and that is a lie. You don't want to advertise yourself that way because it's not true about you. You deserve to believe in yourself, to recognize your value, and to not allow other people's words, other people's ideas, what you even might think somebody else is saying. You deserve to not let that hold you down. The next place you might have gone in your life after those initial few years was to school, where you might have been teased, you might have been bullied, or you might have just not done well at school. I have a good friend that I work with who in second grade, his teacher told him, I'm sorry, but you're just not very smart. You're going to struggle in school your whole life. You may never be able to go to college. Well, that friend of mine actually went to medical school. He had to learn his own ways to learn because the ways that he were taught in school weren't helpful for him. He recognized that his brain worked a different way. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. Actually, being unique is awesome. When he learned what he needed to do in order to learn, he's one of the smartest guys I know. He's incredibly intelligent. He's incredibly knowledgeable. I can ask him about any medical question and I know he has the answer. But even for him, even where he is now, that belief that his second grade teacher gave him that he wasn't smart enough has stuck with him for years and years and years, and he has to work to overcome that. You may be the same. Maybe you didn't have somebody tell you weren't smart enough. Maybe you just struggled with learning in school, and you told yourself that you weren't smart enough, and that was a lie. Our schools are not made for every child. Our schools are made for the average kid. But the average kid doesn't mean that that's almost everybody. The average kid might only be a few. I was one of those lucky average kids that I did really well with what my teachers taught me in school. It was always easy. But I looked around at my classmates and I realized that some of them didn't do as well as me, even though I knew they were smart. They were people who had amazing gifts, amazing talents. They were very artistic. They were very funny. They had wonderful, beautiful gifts. They just weren't good at math or they weren't good at English. You can be one of those people who has amazing gifts and maybe just didn't do great the way that the teachers taught in school because the way that the teachers taught wasn't the right way for you. That doesn't mean that you're not smart. It means that you were taught wrong. And that's nobody's fault, really, but it's your responsibility now to realize it and do what you can to fix it at this point in your life. One perfect example is people who are dyslexic. My brother Mike is dyslexic. I adore my brother Mike. He's one of the smartest people I know. He just graduated, or not, he didn't graduate, it might feel like it to him. He retired after a full military career of over 20 years. He became a lieutenant colonel in the Army. He served in multiple deployments. He's been in, I think, over 30 countries around the world. He's raised 4 amazing, smart, funny kids, has a beautiful, incredible, loving, wonderful wife. And when Mike was in 2nd grade, he thought he was stupid because he couldn't read. He found out he was dyslexic. He learned some techniques so that he could learn his way in the same classroom that was teaching everyone else a different way. And he was able to get through not only school and college, but have a wonderful career. Here's the thing about people who are dyslexic. They have no less IQ than anybody else. In fact, most of the people who I know that are dyslexic have a very high IQ. They just see the world differently from the rest of us. The rest of us read left to right. The rest of us see the world left to right. Dyslexic people don't. I talked about this a little bit the other day too, about being able to see the world in a different manner. Dyslexic people see the world in a different manner without even trying. They automatically look at the whole picture. They don't look from left to right and scan across the page. They look at the whole picture, and it gives them amazing abilities in certain situations to see what's going on, to understand the situation, and to have a greater understanding and a greater way to problem solve it than us, the average person who learned the average way in school. I'm actually a little bit envious of my brother that he's dyslexic because he sees the world in such an amazing way, which has allowed him to have the awesome career and lifetime that he's had. I had another boss who was a director of nursing. And I worked with her for a while. And one day I asked her, "You're dyslexic, aren't you?" She said, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "Because of the way you address things." And she was actually perfect in her position because there were so many pieces that she had to look at, evaluate, weigh against each other, and contemplate and come out with solutions. And she was amazing at that because she didn't see everything from left to right. She saw the whole picture and she saw how all the parts played together. And it was so amazing to work with her to see how her brain worked on a daily basis. So my point here, if you think that you're not smart enough, that's ridiculous. The truth is you just maybe haven't found or haven't recognized what your skills and abilities are when it comes to your intelligence, but I guarantee you, you have them. You absolutely do. Remember that a fish, a dog, and a human don't learn the same way. And if you were in a class with a dog and didn't learn all the tricks that the dog learned, there's a reason for that. It's because you're not a dog, you're a human, you're different. You have abilities and skills that are special to you, and you should recognize them. Another area is, okay, I'm going to go to your body. And this is a really, really important one. The things that we don't like about ourselves, if we were to sit down and write a list of the things we don't like about ourselves, body issues would probably be at the very top. And that makes me really sad, honestly, because your body is part of you. It's the one that you have. It's the one that you get for this lifetime. Consider, think for a second. Since birth, everything that you have eaten has helped to build your body into who you are. If you are an adult and you're choosing your own food, your body totally regenerates every 7 years. So the food that you have eaten in the last 7 years has made your body exactly what it is. Now you can take some responsibility for that and say, okay, I made these mistakes to make my body this way. Let's stop that for a second. I want you to realize that you created your body. The last 7 years, everything that you have done has created the body that you have. Now, I'm not saying to take blame because that's not the point. What I'm saying is that you are the creator of your body. Think about the cells in your body. To the cells in your body, you are the creator. You're kind of the God of your body. And I'll be careful there because I don't want to cross religious lines. But think about this from that perspective. From the cells on your body, you are the creator. How would you feel if your creator looked at you every day and said, "I hate you"? Think about that for a second. And maybe if you see your parents as your creator, would you want your parents to speak to you that way? If you see God as your creator, would you ever want to hear God look at you and speak those words? How devastating is that? One thing I want you to challenge yourself to do, should you choose to, because everything is always your choice, please, please try harder to love your body. Say the words even if you don't mean them at first. Look in the mirror and say, I love my body. I know this sounds difficult. It might even sound crazy, but what I'm telling you is you will feel a difference. You will recognize a difference. Your body will feel the difference. You can ignore the parts of your body that you don't like. You don't have to comment on those, but point out the parts of your body that you do like. If you like your nose, if you like your hair, if you like your fingernails, come on, find something. Look at those things. Say, I love this about me. Do this every day. One way that we rewire the neurons in our brain is by repetition. Neurons that fire together, wire together. If they fire over and over and over and over, they're going to wire together too. That's pretty cool. That means that you can use repetition to say these things over and over, and over time, it will make a difference. There's better, faster ways too, but that's a start. Please, for yourself, make an effort to love your body. Another way that you can kind of recognize the beautiful parts about you is by changing what you compare yourself to. Now, I'd rather that you don't compare yourself to anybody else at all, especially when it comes to your body. Your body is yours. It's specific. It's unique. It looks exactly like you, and it's not intended to look like anybody else. Girls on Instagram or YouTube doing makeup and doing workout routines, that's not you. You cannot compare yourself to them in a fair manner. If you're going to make a comparison, I've never been to a nudist resort or a nude beach, but I've heard that people who go to those places often have amazing body confidence. Why would that be? You would think that if you were walking around unclothed around a bunch of other people who were unclothed, that you might be kind of self-conscious, that it might make you feel more awkward. But what actually happens is those are real people walking around. And when you see them, you see what real people's bodies look like, and you realize, actually, yours is pretty okay. The problem is that we compare ourselves to what we see in the media. And the media sells us a certain idea, a certain picture on purpose because they want to sell us more of their products. So if you're getting the ideas that you're comparing yourself from any media, be that Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, magazines, television, those are lies. You are being completely unfair to yourself to try to compare yourself to those pictures. Those pictures aren't even real. They're completely airbrushed. That's not real. That is an unrealistic expectation. And if you choose to compare your body to those fake pictures, you will always, always, always be disappointed because those aren't even real and there's no way you can match that expectation. Instead, if you're going to compare yourself to real people. I'm not recommending that you go to a nudist resort, but recognize what your body looks like compared to other real people, because I'm guessing your body looks very real and it's perfect exactly as it is. The problem is that you don't know it's perfect because you don't know what a perfect body is actually supposed to look like. You only have this idea of a perfect body that's been fed to you by the media in order to sell you something. Now ask yourself who is benefiting from that. If you watch a TV commercial, check out an Instagram feed, and it makes you feel crappy about yourself, you're not benefiting. If you go out and buy the product they're trying to sell, they're benefiting. So what they've succeeded in doing is putting you down, making you feel shitty about yourself. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I forgot I'm on the radio. Making you feel very bad about yourself in order to sell you a product. And that's ridiculous. Have more respect for yourself than that. You deserve better. And then it comes down to personality. Because so many of us just don't like ourselves. We just don't like the person that we see in the mirror. And that is a crying shame, because who you are is perfect. You just don't realize it because you don't know what perfect is. You were not meant to wake up this morning perfect in what you consider to be perfect is what I mean. Because the way you woke up this morning actually was perfect. It just wasn't what you thought of as perfect. When it comes to your personality, it goes right back to what I've been saying about the voices that you heard from the time that you were a kid, whether they were outside voices or your own voices. If you have been putting yourself down or accepting the ideas from other voices that were putting you down, you're robbing yourself. You're robbing yourself of happiness. You're robbing yourself of self-confidence. So what I find is that many people who don't like themselves don't know themselves, because every person that I've ever met, once I've actually gotten to know them, they're pretty likable. There's very, very, very few people that are unlikable. Almost everybody, once you get to know them, you can truly begin to understand them, understand where they're coming from, and care about them. And you are one of those people that have a beautiful personality, and when people get to know it, they like you. The problem is you don't like yourself, if that applies to you, and I hope it doesn't. So how do you change that? Get to know yourself. We often hide behind fear. This is one of many, many, many examples where we hide behind fear. Maybe you're thinking, what happens if I get to know myself and I don't like what I find? So instead, you don't get to know yourself, and then you don't like what you find anyway. What you have is pretty awesome. Take the time to get to know yourself. Become aware of what you're good at. You can probably pick out some of your talents now. Be aware of those things. Look for more. There's many things that you're good at. They don't have to be big things. They don't have to be fancy things. Maybe you're good at soothing a child. Maybe you're good at smiling at strangers. Maybe you're good at driving your car so that other people don't get mad when you drive around them. I appreciate people like that quite a bit. Get to know yourself. There's like a million self-help books. There's a ton. Here's a couple areas that I recommend you use if you're trying to get to know yourself. Learn what your love languages are. You can Google 5 love languages and bring up a quiz. You answer a few simple questions, and it will tell you things about yourself, what things you value, what things are important to you, how you give love, and how you prefer to receive love. If you don't already know your love languages, check that out. You can learn a lot about yourself by learning what your love languages are. And when you learn how you love, it's hard to not love that about yourself. Next would be the Myers-Briggs personality test. This is another thing you can Google. Chances are you've taken it at some point in time. I've done it a few times. My son had me take it. I've taken it at work. I've taken it other times just out of curiosity for myself. The Myers-Briggs personality test can tell you many, many things about who you are as a person, what your strengths are. It can even explain some of the things that you don't like about yourself and help you understand those things so that you can change them. The Myers-Briggs test is so well known that it is translated into many, many things. For example, you can study your Myers-Briggs personality and find out which Disney character you are. I know there's Facebook tests that do that as well, but the Myers-Briggs is a little bit more researched, a little bit more scientific, and can tell you a lot of things about yourself. You can also look up other people, celebrities, and so on who have the same personality as you, and that can be really cool. That can be really enforcing. One way you can get to know yourself is by keeping a diary. Keep a journal. Every day, jot down your thoughts from that day. And as you go back and read it, you'll find that you have some pretty cool insight, and you can start to give yourself some credit for your thoughts and the quality of your thoughts. And that's pretty cool. Another way, and you're going to hear this from me a lot today and other days, is to meditate. I'm personally a meditation coach. I love meditation. It's not always easy to find the time to fit it in, but there's a million different ways to meditate. There's almost no wrong way to meditate. If you spend 2 to 3 minutes in a quiet room breathing slowly, you're going to learn something about yourself. It may not seem like it, it may not feel like it, but the more you do it, the more you come to understand who you are, and the more you come to love yourself, and you deserve that. Speaking of meditation, now's the perfect time for me to remind you that tonight I will be leading a group guided meditation. It's going to be really cool. It's tonight at 7 p.m. at Shake Up Dixie. That's 122 North, 500 East, right off the boulevard in the Lip Tricks Plaza. If you have never meditated before, if you have, you'd like some tips, or if you've never done a group meditation before, group meditations are really cool because it has a collective power behind it. And the results that we get, the feedback I get from people that come to these, always love it, always enjoy it. And I know that you will too. So that's tonight at 7 at Shake Up Dixie, just off of the boulevard. Remember, when it comes to loving yourself, be very cautious what and who you compare yourself to. Comparison is the thief of joy. I'm sure that's a quote you've heard somewhere. It's on Facebook all over the place. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself to someone else, it's really, really easy to feel bad, especially because you're comparing all of the details that you know about yourself with all of the highlights that you might see about somebody else. What people put on Facebook and Instagram isn't their real lives. You can't look at someone else's Instagram and think, oh, I wish my life was like that, because that's only a couple snapshots a day, if that, of their whole life. There's still 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds going on that you don't know about. And it's unfair to compare yourself to an unknown, like someone else's life that you don't really understand. So don't compare yourself to those things. If you see someone else that's smart, you want to be like that, remember, you have your own intelligence for your own purposes. You have your own skills, your own abilities. What they have is for them. Those skills might not even be the best for you. What's best for you is recognizing, finding, building your own skills and not comparing yourself to somebody else because they seem better, smarter, cooler, hotter, faster, any of that. That's not you, and it's not fair to compare yourself to that. You have skills, you have abilities, you have qualities, you have amazing, amazing things about you. If you're not seeing them, it's because you're not looking for them. Those skills are there. It's just like your nose. It's always there, but you don't see it until you look for it. It's in your face, on your face, all the time. But your eyes don't recognize it until you look for it. That's how your skills and abilities are. If you're not recognizing your skills and abilities, it's because you don't see them, not because you don't know they're there. A good friend of mine said this: awesome does not have a singular mold. It's malleable. You are awesome too. If you're comparing yourself to someone else who's awesome, remember, time to wrap up? Okay. Sorry about that. If you're comparing yourself to somebody else who's awesome, remember it's not your job to be them. You were never supposed to be them. Awesome is malleable. You are awesome exactly the way you are. I have so many more things on my page that I would love to talk to you about, but my time has run out faster than I could even realize it was going to. Remember, you do not have to believe everything I tell you, but please consider what might apply to you. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm only here to encourage you to think for yourself. And today I'm here to encourage you to love yourself too. That's all for me.